Hello, welcome to the First Issue Club podcast. We are your semi-annual reading club for comic books.
Our new motto is, we'll get to it eventually.
When we're ready. And I know you say every week I've got this kind of symbiosis that's maybe a la the Batman and the Joker, where when you think about it, aren't they kind of reliant upon each other?
Doesn't one need the other to exist?
Gosh, it's such an interesting take, isn't it?
One that I've never heard before.
So, I hope if you've come to be reliant on First Issue Club being like your cup of joe and Wheaties every morning, brace yourself.
Record scratch.
We're taking a longer hiatus than we initially thought we were.
School's out for summer. We're taking a summer vacation, folks. We need to focus on having fun.
Yep.
Soaking up the sun and just enjoying comics to enjoy comics. We've been doing this.
That's the problem.
We've been doing this for 5 years, grinding Horde. And now it's more like a business now. I come to this recording every day or every week with a suit and tie, briefcase, full of notes.
Yep.
Written in a secret language that I had to create. It's gotten to be too much.
My hero Will.I.Am asked the question, "Where is the love?" And I'm looking to find it again.
And we're here to get it started.
I'm hopefully we'll answer that question during this summer siesta that we're going to be taking.
This is First Issue Club gets its groove back.
Yes.
And we're off to go get our groove back.
That's right.
This isn't a goodbye.
Nope.
This is we'll see you in the fall.
And let's say some stuff happens and we get together and their mics around. We might drop an episode.
Yeah, we might do a Thor episode when the new movie comes out.
Sure.
We might do some TV news, some cool comic book news stuff. Who knows? But it's not going to be as regular as every week.
Yes, so don't smash that unsubscribe button just yet if you can deal with waiting for us.
Right. By now, you can, you've already subscribed this long.
Yeah, right.
Just don't uncheck it. It's not going to hurt your bandwidth if you keep it checked.
I wish we could have gotten to a round number to stop on.
What are we at?
I don't know. It's 370 something.
I love it. 370, that's the issue that Iron Man took a nap.
It's nothing. Yeah.
It's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing. It's a landmark episode for First Issue Club, though. It's the first time we've ever done this. Many podcasts do this.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't.
How long have we been going? Like 5 years?
About 5 years.
Yeah,
no
that's
break.
Wild.
So we've earned it.
Yep.
We're prepping you now.
That's right.
Our buddy T.T.F.N is probably having a cow. He's our buddy on Twitter. Don't worry.
Love you, 10K.
We're not going to leave you, bud. And we're not going to leave the rest of you. So it's business as usual, and let's get on with the episode.
Okay. I got to start with my hauls.
News, news, news! You got new stuff.
I got some slabs.
Yeah, you did.
I'm addicted to slabs. Might as well face it. I'm addicted to slabs.
I'm not going to sing it because you did it.
I've got the office filling up with tombstones.
And we should state for new readers and for new listeners and for listeners who have a bad memory, Mike D for the longest time was a habitual. I'm never gonna be a slab guy.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna get graded comics. I think they're silly. Yada yada yada. Meanwhile, Budgie Kick and I were just like, I don't know, they're kind of fucking cool. And you were adamantly not gonna do it.
I was opposed to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was silly.
And now you have eclipsed us in slabos.
My thing is, or what I've learned over the years, is that eBay isn't to be trusted on books worth $50 or more. You know what I mean?
I like that take. Go ahead.
That there's so much nuance in what one person might consider fine that,
fine,
in my opinion, is
not fine.
Yeah. Like
possibly a dog.
Very good, which in comic book terms ain't so good.
It's a leap. From very good to fine is a huge leap.
It is a huge leap. And I think a lot of people think their comics are in pretty good shape and just throw grades out there and take really foggy pictures. So this has kind of become my threshold, that if I want a book that I think is worth over $50, it's worth it to me to pay the extra $15 to $30 premium to have a graded copy to ensure what I'm getting is what I want.
Right. And you're not fickle about it. You're not a 9.8 stan.
No, my thing is having comics that are important to me in my collection. And I've kind of got a sub-collection of Marvel heroines going on in slabs.
Yep. You got first appearances of all the important, well, I guess they're all important, but female superheroes.
I'm working through a list, essentially.
You might have some that you just can't obtain.
There's certainly some. I was looking at Black Widow's first appearance the other day just to see what like a 2 or a 3 goes for. And you can get them graded with like decent looking covers in around the $600 neighborhood. That's
a pricey neighborhood. There's a gate on that neighborhood.
It's out of my price range, but it's not as out of this world as I'd kind of expected.
What was her first appearance?
It was in something funny, like a Strange Tales or
yep.
One of those things in like the 40s, 50s. She's got black hair, looks like a bad guy, looks like a Cruella de Vil type on the cover, and it's like introducing this sassy new mistress.
Who is this sultry spy from the land of Mother Russia?
Yeah, it was in an Iron Man story. The primary story was an Iron Man story, and she was like a background character. But maybe someday, maybe I'll find a ratty copy and get it in the collection. It's more important to me to have one that I think is like, if it's an important character to me, it's in the collection. And that's honestly Black Widows. I love the modern stuff, but a little lower on my list of characters that I'm like gaga for.
Yeah, the modern stuff right now is so good.
Yeah.
Kelly Thompson is really,
I'm so bummed,
blasted off with that series.
Casagrande Thompson run came to an end.
Mm-hmm.
Already read the last issue of it.
Yeah. She said it may pop up again.
I hope so.
But
I think people liked it. It was pretty well received.
Oh, it was awesome. And it made it to like, what, the 30s? Or
yeah.
I mean, it went a long time as far as Marvel comic books are concerned, or comic books in general.
Right.
But she said on her...
It might have been the longest ongoing run of Black Widow.
It is, and she's still currently writing the longest run of Captain Marvel.
Yeah. It's funny when you see the legacy numbering for some of these books, and you're like,
30.
Black Widow like hasn't made it to like 100, and it's
That's
like
kind of fucked up.
one of the biggest female characters in the MCU, which is it's just bonkers. But I grabbed a Spectacular Spider-Man 64, which the real nerds are gonna know is the origin and first appearance of Cloak and Dagger. So I get Dagger here on my Marvel Heroines list.
Check.
It's a 9.2. It is a direct edition, meaning doesn't have the barcode. But I got white pages. I always try to get white pages if I can.
Do you...
For some reason, the off-white to white and off-white seem so much less appealing to me
than white pages?
Than white pages. Sometimes I'll go down a grade. Like, I might have seen like a 9.4 with off-white to white, and I was like, the 9.2 with white pages is the same price. I want white pages.
That's your sticking point.
If it's a 2-point threshold or something really small.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, I we all have our reasons. I was just gonna ask you if you're like a direct guy or like barcode guy for like collecting important issues.
I'm always stoked if I can get a barcode, but I'm not a stickler.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they're all printed at the same time. They're part of the same print run. This was a question I was going to kind of ask you because the same thing is true or kind of like a hot topic lately with price variance.
Yeah.
Where, like treated the same way as a direct edition where you might have the Canadian price or you might have the price in lire or something.
Sure.
And that used to be less desirable.
Mm.
And now it's starting to be like a weird niche thing that people are kind of considering them.
Right. It's whatever. It's in vogue at the moment.
Early variants that, who knows if the price of those is going to I think ultimately it's all going to level out. And we're just
Sure.
going to be like, you get a copy of that book from this country, that country, U.S.,
Mhm.
direct or not. If it was part of the same print run and printing press and released the same day, then people are going to view those as the legit copy of the book.
Okay.
Right. That's how I kind of see it. If I can get a U.S. price newsstand for around the same price, I'm always going to get U.S. price newsstand.
I always try to go for older books, the barcode.
Yeah.
Because that's like a white whale.
Mhm.
Because back in the day, the barcode ones were the ones you'd find at like grocery stores or drug stores. And they'd be on the spinner racks, and so they were treated like dog shit.
So if you get one in good grade.
You're right, because you have some
you're made.
teenagers just loading these up in there,
Yeah.
not really giving a shit what it is.
Mhm.
And so if you find one in good condition with a barcode from like pre-60s,
Yep.
it's like cool to have in the collection.
Totally.
I actually just bought a direct and a barcode of Amazing Spider-Man 258, which is the first appearance of the bombastic Spider-Man, which is the Spider-Man with the bag over his head.
Yes.
And they were both like $5 or $10. And this is my hint to you guys right now: go pick up those issues.
Because weird niche things like that.
Because Fantastic Four is coming to the MCU. Spider-Man's already established in the MCU.
Oh, is the Fantastic Four thing confirmed?
Yes.
Okay.
So like,
I remember they showed a logo, and I didn't know if that was part of the whole
it's gonna be Phase
Doctor
5.
Strange promotion,
Oh,
or if
I
that was
see
going
what
to
you
be its
mean.
own movie.
Yeah, no, yep. It had the director from the Spider-Man movies, something.
Okay.
Was it Watts or whatever?
I don't know.
He dropped out, and they're trying to get somebody else. But yeah, so they're coming. So like, that's gonna be an easy character for Marvel to throw in for a quick second.
Yeah.
Is they find Peter passed out or whatever, and he doesn't want to expose his secret identity, so they put a paper bag over his head.
And they give him a Fantastic Four bodysuit.
Yeah. It's also a key issue because the origins of the symbiote suit are explained.
Oh, okay,
Because Reed Richards takes it off of him, because this is post Secret War.
Yeah.
And Reed Richards is able to take it off of Peter Parker and analyze it, and he's just like, holy shit, this is an alien. And so that's why it's really a key issue, but I like it because it's the first appearance of paper bag head Spider-Man.
That's great. I have an Amazing Spider-Man. This was the most expensive of my books I've grabbed lately, but I got a 194, which is a 1979 direct edition of the Black Cat first appearance.
Great book to have.
Great book to have. And this character, I think, is one of the more iconic women of Marvel.
She's having a bit of a renaissance right now in modern comics.
Got her own title, and it sold extremely well. When
she's
that
hooking
relaunched.
up with
We got the Iron Cat series going on.
Is that Patsy Walker though? Is that Hellcat?
No, I think there's a Black Cat, Iron Cat.
Okay. Oh, you're right. No. You're right. Yep.
It's like a pink costume.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But in the current Cantwell series, Iron Man
Patsy
is
Walker
dating
is dating
Patsy Walker.
Yes, exactly right.
Ugh, comics.
But apparently there were rumors that they were going to do a movie called Silver and Black that was going to be Silver Sable and Black Cat together in a movie.
Which would be sick.
They've since, I believe, said that they're expecting to do separate movies, or at least a Black Cat movie. And it's
made by Sony, so not excited.
Made by Sony, right. But this is one of those books where I love this character, been a romantic interest of Peter Parker for so long, and a kick-ass character in her own right for a really long time.
Yep.
And I was just thinking, man, this is one of those books that's only going to get more expensive as the years go on.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like my Cloak and Dagger I 100% expect to see this book cheaper than I bought it for and more expensive than I bought it for, as they have moments and those moments fade.
Yeah.
I will forever think that Cloak and Dagger are underutilized characters, and they should be like present in a lot more Marvel stuff going on right now.
Well, I'll talk about it later, but they're in the new Savage Avengers, which I
Oh,
read.
okay,
Which we'll
cool.
talk about here in a minute.
Nice. But I don't know if I mentioned I got that in a 7.5 in off-white to white, and then the direct edition on this one. People really don't like these direct editions. There's like I think in 1979 specifically was a year before they started doing the icons
Sure.
of a character silhouette in those small white boxes where the barcode's supposed to go. Instead, they did a diagonal line through the barcode. And a lot of people just think this is ugly. And it also just kind of reads as like sharp. It kind of looks like Sharpie.
Oh, right. Like,
or like
the
someone,
shop owner did it.
Someone like drew a line through it. Right. So people don't particularly like these, but I got a pretty good price on it for settling for 7.5 off-white and a line through the barcode, which I'll take it again to have this book in my collection.
You can't beat it.
CBCS too, so I got an amazing deal on it. You can always go sometimes 15-20% cheaper with a CBCS book.
Which is crazy to me. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it is.
It's like paying $2 more for regular milk than off-brand milk. It's like it's all milk, dipshits.
Well, I mean, if you research it on the internet, you'll see that there are people who think CBCS grades harder than CGC, and then there are people who think otherwise. I've got a 7.5 cat, which is my last slab that I bought recently, Marvel 1972. This is the origin of Greer Grant, who later becomes Tigra, however you say that. This is a stupid thing about comics, is that you say it in your head one way.
Yeah.
And then you never realize until you have to say it out loud. That
You're
it's like,
oh, God.
Maybe I've been saying it wrong
What
for
am I
30
doing?
years. But I always thought this was such a cool cover. Beware the Claws of the Cat. This is like a precursor to the Patsy Walker Hellcat costume. It is, to a T, almost the exact costume that Patsy Walker ends up wearing as Hellcat. And I love the costume design. I think it's iconic.
She has claws on her hands and feet.
That's exactly right.
She's ready for action.
It's a very pulpy, I would call this camp to a certain degree too.
No, you're right. Yeah.
She stalks by night, introducing Marvel's newest action bombshell. How did a beautiful girl gain the uncanny powers of a killer beast?
So funny.
This cover is always just held a special place in my heart. So this is a 7.5 white pages. It looks worse than the 7.5 CBCS Amazing Spider-Man that I have.
You think so?
I think it looks visually worse than that Amazing Spider-Man. You can tell that this 7.5 has been pressed. It's got some crease lines in the cover where there was some bad creasing that couldn't be pressed out or wasn't pressed correctly. And just a handful of other little things like dirt along the spine. There's just some, like, in the grading notes, they always call it like soil. But a handful of those key things just stuck out to me as something I'm not seeing in my CBCS 7.5s.
So you're looking to upgrade to an 8.0. So that's what I'm hearing.
If you crack it open, I saw, and I don't know if you've ever seen this before. Sometimes with CBCS, there'll be a little check next to the number. Have you ever noticed that?
No.
Okay, so if you see a CBCS book graded, and it says 7.5, and then there's a circle and a little check mark, it means we think it's good enough to be bumped up to a non-existent in-between grade.
Oh.
So graders don't necessarily acknowledge 7.7 as a grade. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
7.5, and then you go to 8.
Yeah.
So if they think we have reason to believe this would be a 7.7 in this scenario,
Uh-huh.
you'll get the 7.5 with a check mark next to it.
Wild.
That way, if they ever expand grading in the future,
Mm-hmm.
you know that you've got a 9.2, a 9.5. Or, sorry, they do 9.5s, don't they? No, they don't. 9.2,
They do 9.5s.
9.4, 9.6.
Oh, they go by 2.
9.8.
Sorry.
They go by 2s. But their thought is that when you're getting into 9, the closer you get to 10, there's more nuance that you care about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is potential to expand in those grades in the future. So if you do ever see the stuff with the check and you can get it the same price as one without a check,
Yeah.
always buy the check. There's a chance you could crack it open, send it to CGC, and get a whole grade better.
So my plan to collect slabs that are only 6.9s is ruined.
Right, yeah.
There goes that gag.
Yeah. So that's been my slabo hunt.
So you have been on the hunt.
Yeah.
You've been treating yourself because you got that new job.
Got a new job, and my PTO at my old company paid out. You know,
Hell yeah,
sometimes
dude.
you lose it.
Hell yeah,
But
dude.
they paid out my balance.
Paid out in slabos.
So I was like, I'm going to use all of that for slabs. And that's what I did.
I'm disappointed because I don't have it printed out in front of me, but the Eisners were announced.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of books on there that we actually read through the year.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to come back when the Eisners has completed.
Oh, yeah, an Eisner
We'll do an
special.
Eisners episode. But there were some good books on there. Tunyon was on there. Zdarsky. Kelly Thompson was on there a few times. So some really, really great books and creators were featured. Again, they did those categories where I was just like, I've never read any of these books. Like best young adult like graphic novel. It's just like, I definitely haven't read any of these.
Yeah.
Or like best like import, and you're like, I don't know what these books. I don't know where to find these books.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, I do love the Eisners because
It brings attention to things.
it really does.
That's
and like
the point, yeah.
I check out those books because like I've never heard of them. Maybe they're if they make the Eisners,
Yeah.
they must be good.
I like to believe that's the case, but as we've done some research in the past, sometimes it's very odd who the panel that selects the winners and final nominees like ends up being.
Right.
Do you remember we tried to vote one year?
Uh-huh. Didn't go well.
If you're in the industry or media, sometimes you can like
You get invited to be on the voting board process thing.
we're not important enough to vote.
No. That's why we're taking the summer off, folks.
Really reevaluate things.
How do we get on the Eisners next year?
Did you see
Oh.
that Marvel lost its rights to Conan?
I did see that.
Yeah.
I was kind of shocked.
So was I.
I
They've been doing such a good thing with Conan lately. I was like, man, you would have thought that they would have locked it down if they were investing so heavily into
maybe
it.
it was just like not paying the bills. They're just like, just let it go. If somebody else wants to pay more for it.
Well, and I don't. So apparently there are people who technically still own the estate because in the U.S., or the people who controlled the estate still own the intellectual property, and they had it on loan to Marvel for a certain amount of money.
Oh.
And they've decided they want to publish comics themselves.
Interesting. Go on.
So you're going to have, they're probably going to be very bad, I would assume. If you've got people who maybe don't necessarily
know anything about comic books.
Write or publish comics who are just like, we own this thing, why don't we cash in on it? I kind of unfortunate. I think a lot of people really liked the Jason Aaron Conan stuff. So
yeah, and he's been doing the Conan stuff for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, seems like it.
Here's what I'm seeing is gonna happen. We're gonna get a Dynamite situation where we're gonna get this new publisher trying to do Conan books. And what's the best way to sell books as a new publisher? Make 50 goddamn variant covers.
Oh, for sure.
And there's just gonna be booby cover after booby cover of Conan hoisting up some Frank Frazetta girl
Mhm.
over his shoulder running from like a bear
Yeah.
that is also a warlock or some shit.
Who knows? Maybe they'll kickstart it and make $1 billion.
I hate that more. Well,
It would work out better for them, I think, though, right? Because then people
Yeah.
are going to pay $20 a comic.
That's true.
Or more to get the
to
incentive
get
variance.
the incentive cover, yeah.
Yeah.
And you get Art Germ to do one cover, and people are like,
You're off to the races.
yeah, I'll pay $30 for a variant cover. I'm sad that Budget King isn't here because
Yes.
just came to light. Mullet Cop, the comic book that he was gaga over,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
is being made into a cartoon show.
Oh, my God. On Adult Swim, I'm guessing?
I'm assuming it's going to try to be on Adult Swim or Comedy Central or something
like that, yeah.
So this just proves the point that they'll make anything now.
Uh-huh.
And if you have been paying attention to the zeitgeist of Hollywood, Mullet Cop exists, and it's called Paul Blart.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking about the book, I was like, man, it sounds so much like Paul Blart.
I mean, I think there's like some tweaks, and obviously it's a little
He's
different.
got a mullet.
But yeah, Paul Blart had a mustache.
Yeah, exactly right.
I mean, it's night and day. Apples and oranges, folks. There's no comparison. But I was just gonna rib Budget King a little bit because he really doubled down on old Mullet Cop.
Yeah, he loved it.
So kudos. I think that's on Scout.
Yep.
They got someone to bite.
Nice. You did it, Scout.
Well done.
All those PR emails you send your customers paid off. I think since we last talked, MODOK got canceled, so not getting a second season.
Yeah, I'm bummed.
Very unfortunate. I don't know if I have much to say about it other than
I'm sure it was an expensive show to make.
Yeah, right.
And it had the unfortunate scheduling of dropping in the middle of COVID.
Yep.
Where I think that shows or in movies that dropped during that time just fell into a void of like people just didn't get into them because they were focused on other shit.
There was a time that we were in like a show hole because production stopped on a lot of things.
Right. Yeah.
And then people realized that there was a lot of people hungry for content, and then we wound up inundated by like digital originals, and which is like the reason I have like Paramount Plus. is because like nothing was coming out, and I got it to watch one movie, and now I've been paying for Paramount Plus for
a year and a half.
Year.
Gotcha.
But sorry to see that show go, and especially because we've got a comic book fellow lover in its star, Patton Oswalt, who's just a cool guy. But we do have another show that's been announced since the last time we talked to, or a release date anyway, which is She-Hulk, August 17th, 2022, sooner than I had anticipated, so I'm very stoked.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be end of this year, maybe get pushed into next year potentially.
But I was shocked
because we hadn't seen anything about it in so long, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, trailer.
Initial thoughts? Looks funny.
I am stoked for it. Yeah.
I mean, we're both big She-Hulk fans.
Yep.
I think the only trepidation that people had were the CGI looks of it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I mean, like they have till August to tweak stuff and whatever.
Isn't that interesting that sometimes that's the trailer is like a rushed thing, and then they clean stuff up in post. I didn't necessarily notice, and maybe it was just because I was so
geeked up
about the other stuff. But normally that is a bugaboo for me sometimes when graphics look corny, but I didn't particularly notice.
I mean, if you really look at it, I'm sure you can find something wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just really excited about it because they seem to match the tone of most of the She-Hulk books, which is like kind of self-deprecating, funny humor.
Yes.
Think a green Ally McBeal.
Right.
And you're good to go.
Yeah, I love that the subtitle of it is Attorney at Law, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that it's going to be lawyer-based, that she's still going to be working at a law office. Obviously, we don't know anything about how much of it's going to be in a law office, but a lot of the clips we got were in a courtroom, walking up to a courtroom.
Yep, in a bar talking about cases.
Yeah, exactly. She went on the speed dating stuff was great.
Oh my god,
that was really funny.
When the trailer dropped, Twitter couldn't have been hornier for She-Hulk.
Yeah.
A lot of tweets about her feet.
Oh no.
Ton of feet tweets, if you know what I mean.
No.
So I think we're gonna see a sexual renaissance.
Why is
with,
that a thing?
It is big girl summer. I mean, tall queens have finally had their season, and it is in full bloom right now.
We can't put summer after every type of person.
We're heading.
You can't all have your own season.
The internet would disagree with you very hard.
Can it be just everyone's summer?
Yes, equality summer.
Yeah.
Let's all.
Speaking of, Happy Pride.
Happy Pride Month.
I regret not having mentioned it sooner.
You know, we here at First Issue Club like to think we treat every month like Pride Month, and so I didn't want to go too hard.
Oh, exactly right.
Because
this is our everyday.
Because every corporation changes their logo to a rainbow flag and likes to say, use Pride 20 and get 20% off at Cricket Wireless. Happy Pride Month. And so I get a little jaded around Pride Month, not because I don't want to celebrate people and them being themselves. It's just because corporations have kind of just snuck their way
turned it into like a Memorial Day sale.
Right, into our party. And they're
Yeah.
just like, no, let's sell some shit.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month. You got to love it. I'm stoked to see the Pride covers that are going to come out.
Yep.
Every year, Marvel and DC seem to do more and more and more with their Pride covers and
their
Marvel Identity series.
Yes, their Pride annuals have been really shining the last couple of years.
Yep.
Have you seen the bathing suit variants that are coming out for
Oh,
DC?
so horny.
Woo-wee! I instantly pre-ordered like 3 of them. One of them was the Nightwing one, where he's like wearing like a Speedo and he's got his fat old dump truck just hanging out the water. The other one was the Catwoman one because she looks incredible. And then,
she's like poolside in a one piece, right?
Yes.
It looks kind of like a Vogue cover or something. Like it's very like fashion forward.
Yep.
DeCall, I don't know how you pronounce his name.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did the art for it.
Yeah, I think he's doing the main cover A's for that series as well.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah,
that was a very striking cover.
Great series, by the way. Teenie Howard, I think, is writing Catwoman
Oh my
right now.
God.
It is bonkers good.
Yeah, Happy Pride Month, Teenie Howard.
Happy Pride Month, Teenie.
That book is fantastic. And I love, she's writing Knights of X right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
A kind of a continuation of some of the Excalibur stuff that she was doing. Such a good
And she's
writer.
on the Substack with Jonathan Hickman.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
3 worlds or something?
3 moons, 3 earths, 3 something.
Yeah. So 3 is in the title for sure.
You'll find it.
Yeah. And then the other one was, I think, like a Supergirl one that Artgerm did.
Okay, yeah.
And so just great covers. Very horny. DC is like really, it's horny summer for DC.
Okay, great. It's horny guy summer.
Always. I think it's year round for DC, unfortunately.
Totally.
What else have I been doing as far as news? Oh, Joe Quesada.
Yes.
Has ended his tenure at Marvel.
Uh-huh.
He has, I mean, what a driving force.
Sure.
At Marvel. Every story you have read that had changed your life through the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, Joe had his hands in it.
Yeah.
Him and Joey Palamati.
I don't know.
They basically saved Marvel from bankruptcy.
Oh, okay.
And stopped it from being just like split up and sold off.
Yeah, okay.
And so them and a few others really saved Marvel's ass in the 90s, including Liefeld. I'm not going to leave him out because he, with his Deadpool stuff kind of brought a bunch of money back in.
A breath of fresh air into.
Yeah. Even though sometimes he can be a toot, a real toot. I'm not going to take away his accolades on that one.
Oh, I was listening to one of Scott Aukerman from Comedy Bang Bang's podcasts a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about how he wrote one of the side stories, a backup story in an anniversary issue of Deadpool.
Nice.
And he ran into Rob Liefeld at a con or something, and he was like, "Oh, I actually got a chance to write like a 3-4 page story for Deadpool, one of your characters. And he said Rob Liefeld was just like, thanks for the money.
Wow. Holy
and just
shit.
like left it at that. And I was like, that's such a Rob Liefeld story.
Seriously.
It's like so many things you hear is just like, yep.
Then he chugged his protein powder and gave me a wedgie. What an absolute anus.
He's being real.
I guess that's what you can call it. There's a thin line between being real and being a complete dickhead.
I don't know. It's one of those things where you're like,
Thanks for the money.
Have so many people written Deadpool by now that it's just like there's another person that it just like doesn't faze you anymore.
I mean, but that can be said for most creators.
Sure.
I mean, Frank Miller's not like, thanks for the money. When everyone, like, when Chip Zdarsky's like, hey, I'm writing Daredevil. Like, you don't see Frank Miller tweeting just like, thanks for the money. No, it's like an attitude thing. And he's like, I mean, to be fair, people have been dunking on Rob Liefeld for about 5 or 10 years now. And, like, I'm sure he's kind of like prickly like a porcupine of just like, well, man, fuck everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of get why he's like a little abrasive. But, I mean... So they did the same thing to Alan Moore, and he's just crazy. He's not mean to people. So there's definitely different routes you can take.
Okay, did you see the Marvel's doing Amazing Fantasy 1000?
Oh my god, can we talk about this?
I hate this.
Yeah, 100% hate this.
It's just like Marvel Comics 1000 that they did, what, a year or two ago?
This is going to be chock full of terrible stories.
Yeah.
And 10 million covers.
Yeah.
And I begrudgingly will probably buy 1 or 2 of them. Because, I mean, they're going to get every heavy hitter in the game right now to do a cover for Spider-Man or Amazing Fantasy 1000.
Michael Cho is apparently introducing a new villain in this book.
No, you can't do that.
So Marvel's like, just like we had to get you with the firstie too.
Because this book's going to be $10.
And they're going to print 1 million copies of it, right?
I'm not going to. God damn it. I hate when they do that.
But yeah, there's just something about making up like a book and doing a 1000 of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like there just weren't issues, 70 through 999. Why is there an issue 1000? That drives me nuts.
Are they combining legacy numbering with Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man?
I don't think so.
So
if there's a reasoning, I haven't heard it, but there wasn't a reasoning for Marvel Comics 1000, so why would there be a reasoning for this one?
We are coming up on the 60th anniversary of Spider-Man being a superhero.
Yep.
So
part of it I think is in celebration of that.
I know, but why give it the 1000 pedigree? I mean, like what you just were talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a money grab. We can just say it.
Yeah, uninformed customers think it's a landmark issue when really it's just a one-shot.
Right. And they're just going to get the Momoko cover.
So whatever. This is one of those things where if I was a DC stan, I would be like,
I'll just like ready at Twitter, just like, oh, I'm gonna.
I'd be like,
rip them apart.
We actually had 1000th issues. Like they're hitting it with Action Comics and
Detective Comics
and all that stuff are getting so high now that they're like,
I think Wonder Woman just did 700 or 800 or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but if I was a DC guy, I would be like, oh, well.
Spider-Man's about to hit 800 or so, right?
Yeah.
It's about at another landmark,
100
mark, I think.
Well, they keep pumping these goddamn things out.
Yeah.
Twice a month. They're going to catch up quick.
Well, they do all those, I've said this before, but they do all those like half issues, like 0.5 or 0.1, 0.2, 0.3.
Yeah.
And these side stories that are crucial to the mainline story. And I just don't understand why those aren't part of legacy numbering, or why they wouldn't have them count towards the total if they're crucial to the main storyline.
Yeah, because they did it with like the Hunted storyline and the recent one with the centipede faced guy.
Yes, totally. You would get like issue 73, and then you would get 73.HU.
Yes, and it's just like, what are we doing?
Right.
What are we doing here?
Very bizarre.
And as far as, cataloging that in your collection, it's a grade A clusterfuck.
There's a handful of things in my Spider-Man collection that I'm just like, I don't know where this goes.
Guess I'll throw this away.
I'm not doing that. So that bugged me. I know we're being very Marvel heavy, so apologies if you don't care about
Fuck that. I'm not apologizing
Marvel
for that.
books, but Tom King, or I can't remember necessarily if this was a Marvel book or not. No, I think it was Image, actually. Tom King is writing a book called Love Everlasting.
I saw that. I just pre-ordered it.
Yeah, so did I. It's like a romance anthology sort of book.
Right, yeah. It's on Image.
Yes. And apparently, I tried to read up on it because I was like, you can't just be doing a straight-up romance anthology book. Apparently, the concept of it, it's supposed to be a little meta, maybe, or that's the vibe I was trying to get.
Sure.
I was seeming to get. It's about like a woman trapped in a romance comic.
Oh, fuck yeah. Love
I
that.
think.
I can't wait for people to shit on this for no reason. Because Tom King's writing it. And I have to defend him once again.
Yeah, people got strong takes on him. He's written some kick-ass comics.
Right.
Sorry.
He can't, and you know what? Keep squawking because he can't hear you over the sounds of his checks cashing.
His cha-chings. I like his Batman stuff.
his books
Batman
never
Catwoman,
disappoint.
I thought was fabulous.
Yes, it's amazing.
I loved it. And then if you didn't read the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow,
God damn, that book was incredible.
oh my God, 8-part miniseries, I think.
Book of the year. Maybe not book of the year, but
it was one of the monthlies
book
that
of the year.
I look forward to the most this past year. Okay. I read a bunch of Free Comic Book Day comics about a month ago.
So how did you order them? How did you order them?
I did them on
You did Midtown.
Yeah. So I went to my comic shop on Free Comic Book Day around 3 p.m. and they were out.
Spec.
Which blew my mind.
Yeah.
So I do my pre-orders on Midtown for the books that I know I want to get because I've just had trouble locally guaranteeing I get what I'm wanting to get. And Midtown did a thing where you get the comics for free, but you have to order a minimum of $10.
Makes sense.
So for me, that was no issue. I was like, I need this. I'm at 10.
Yeah.
Add it on however many Free Comic Book Day comics
Sure.
you want, and you just get a big box full of comics.
So I went through T.F.N.
You pay a penny each, right?
Yeah. And so I was like, penny each. I'll just get them all. Boop, 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 boop. And then I get my order set up. And then, like, when they are processing it, they're just like, no, we're not doing this. Like, you're not getting.
Really?
You're not getting all 30 for a penny. And so, like, they knocked some off. And I don't know if, like, some didn't come in or they're just like they only had a small portion to allocate.
Huh.
But, like, I definitely clicked every one of them.
Yeah.
And got maybe 10 or 15.
Wow.
It was really strange.
That is strange.
And so I was just like, oh, well, excuse me, Tifa. Didn't know we were holding back on the Free Comic Book Days that I had to pay for.
I wonder if it was like an as supplies last thing and they just didn't sync the comics with their inventory.
I'm sure it was.
On the site.
And it's so stupid to pre-order Free Comic Book Day stuff because
I don't think you could pre-order it.
That's how I got mine.
Oh, you pre-ordered it?
I pre-ordered them.
Oh.
And so that's where they kind of fucked up because they're just like, well, this is stupid. We can't guarantee any of this.
Yeah, bizarre.
So I did get the ones that I wanted, which was like the Venom and Spider-Man one, and I got the Ninja Turtles one and some other cool ones. So
yep.
I'm not too bummed, but just a weird way to do it, Tifa.
It is. Yeah, the Spider-Man one. Can we do spoilers from that?
Sure, yeah, go crazy.
Chasm and Madeline Pryor teaming up.
Chasm. Which is Ben Reilly.
Ben Reilly, villain version.
Which I love.
Do you okay?
I love
him a
Chasm.
Completely different character.
Because
the character design is sweet.
It's sick as fuck. And people are just like, that's not who Ben Reilly is. And he's just like, but Ben Reilly is a clone who is just like.
He is now.
He's like just so off the rails. Like, make him a villain.
I was kind of excited for Madeline Pryor when she returned to be a good guy or to kind of have some like grand return to X-Men and be like accepted back and maybe still have some cool Goblin Queen energy,
Yeah.
but not necessarily be the victim bad guy.
So she came back in New Mutants 25, right?
Something like that. 24, 25, around then.
Every cover for that was so
Over the top.
horny.
Yeah.
Like, the Goblin Queen's outfit is already just outlandish.
Yeah.
It's like a scarf that covers her whole body.
I draw the line when you're just like science doesn't make sense for that. Like, if you can't...
Yeah. Gravity exists even in comics.
If you're using literal paint to try to make a costume come to life, and even that can't match the realism of it, like, that costume maybe needs to be updated for 2022.
Sorry if we're too woke. I like my ladies in clothes.
I don't know. And all that stuff kind of comes back around at some point where, like, is that empowering? Is it iconic and sexy in a way that's like...
I think both points can be argued.
Yeah, both points can be argued, but that costume in particular seems very ogleable and leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I was just hoping that we'd get more of like the happy version of Madeline Pryor in this next run, and she would kind of be like they kind of set her up in an issue or two to be like a role model sort of figure for magic, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know what's happening there, but we already know she's going to be a bad guy. Okay, another thing that happened in one of the Free Comic Book Day comics was Normie Osborn becomes the Red Goblin again.
Yes. I'm good with that.
I don't know if that's a speculation value worthy thing because it's happened before. Maybe that makes the initial book where that happened the first time more valuable.
I think
if it sticks, let's say Normie stays as this Red Goblin sort of character for a year or two more, like, that would be cool. I would love to see something a little more permanent with Normie, because he kind of just gets thrown in as like, Normie got kidnapped, or
oh, Normie,
or Normie's lost, and then
he's fallen down a well again,
and then he just disappears until he gets lost or kidnapped again.
Right.
So I love that he's being used as like a real character.
I think they should use him because like Green Goblin's dead. Norman Osborn is gone.
Not dead.
Was that like his clone or whatever or something?
So Norman Osborn has been like cleansed of his madness, essentially.
Oh, he went to church.
He was shot by the Sin Eater.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And is now like apparently a rehabilitated person.
For how long?
We don't know, but he's still he's still involved with Peter. And they seem like they're on decent terms.
Okay.
So he's at least not giving it up to being immediately like an arch nemesis sort of guy.
Are you up to date on what happened in Devil's Reign?
I think so.
Where the Kingpin was just like, deuces, I'm out. And his son is taking over for him.
Yes.
That storyline kicked ass.
Yeah, I kind of liked it.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see his son come in. And I think it's like his villain name is the Rose or something.
Something like that,
Which is so badass. I love that. So I'm excited to see where that goes in Daredevil.
The only thing I'm bummed about that is that Typhoid Mary took off with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Typhoid Mary.
Yeah.
And I was stoked for her to be a larger part of New York crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just chilling in Bermuda with Kingpin.
Well, yeah, while Luke Cage is the new mayor.
Has that happened yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, he was the only one running against the Kingpin.
Oh, okay.
So he was like uncontested.
Okay.
But didn't it seem like Typhoid Mary was more reluctant to give it up than Kingpin? So I'm thinking that storyline will play out where she's like, I gotta go back to crime.
She wants to come back, yeah.
and so that's how she'll get reintroduced or whatever. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. I was just,
No, you're good. I need to go back and read they did a Marvel Knights Typhoid Mary that I've always been interested. Not Marvel Knights, Marvel Max
Yeah,
Typhoid Mary.
I
story.
don't know who wrote that, but I know it exists.
Yeah. Okay, so Eternals deeming the X-Men deviants was another thing.
Oh, that's what the whole Eternals thing going on.
Yeah,
Pretty soon.
so whatever that crossover event is, some comic book podcast.
Judgment Day.
We are Judgment Day. It's called
which we're not going to cover because we're on summer vacation.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I like the whole like axe thing. They got A.X.E.
Yeah, I'll give them that.
I think that's cool to call it axe. So you've got Avengers, X-Men, Eternals. But kind of makes sense. Mutations, deviations from
Yes.
humanity kind of fits into the Eternals whole thing.
Yeah.
So Kieran Gillen's writing it, and he's been writing Eternals, and
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his. So while I was like, man, a crossover with too many teams and characters to like keep my head around, I was a little like, am I really gonna buy all these? But I at least jumped into the kickoff books
Mm-hmm.
to give it a try. And I did like the free comic book day Judgment Day issue, so giving it a chance. And then the last one was Brielle. I think that's how you say the name. Another daughter of Blade. Do you know if this character's been like
I have no
introduced
idea.
before? So that was the thing that popped up in this free comic book day comic was Brielle. I think you pronounce it Brielle.
Okay.
So
No idea.
he maybe has another kiddo.
Neat.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Good for him.
It's always good to have another kid running around.
Yep.
I guess.
Do your papa thing. Go off, Dad.
Go off, Daddy.
Did you read any first issues this week?
So, well, man, since the last time we recorded, I read Duo from DC.
Oh, how was that? That's a milestone book.
Yes, it's got legs.
Okay, cool.
So it's basically
the covers are beautiful.
They're insane. That's essentially why I dipped my toe into it. And I love the milestone universe.
Yep.
So I was excited to figure what this was about. And it's basically just like a husband and wife science team who have just like figured out how to use nanotechnology to like cure everyone's sicknesses, and one of them is like universal Wi-Fi for humans, like everyone shares a thought, so it's kind of like a hive mind kind of thing.
Okay.
And like whether that is ethical or not. There's an accident. One of them, the wife saves the husband, but in the explosion she dies, but her consciousness through the technology that they developed is absorbed into him.
Yeah.
And so that's where the issue ends, where he finds out that his wife is living in his brain and talking to him throughout the whole issue.
Yeah, very cool.
So I don't know if she's able to like manifest or like he can like project her or whatever, but I'm excited to see where it goes from there.
Yep.
I read one of the spin-offs from the DC vs. Vampires. It was called DC Hunters, and it followed Damien as he's a vampire right now. So he's trying to like, and like, oh, this is so stupid because if you're not reading DC vs. Vampires, just skip ahead a couple minutes. Nightwing is king of the vampires now.
Okay.
And so Damien is trying to figure out how to take him down.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, the vampire blood hasn't taken over Damien's brain, where he's just like, I'm with the vampires now. He's just like being Damien, but he's a vampire.
Okay.
And so he tries to team up with Alfred, who isn't a vampire, and a couple other folks.
I'm going to stop you there, Greg.
I know. That's why I didn't want to get too into it. I'll say this. It wasn't as good as
DC versus
Vampires, because that book rips. Because
Okay.
it's super bloody and kind of campy and just a lot of fun. This went more into the relationship between the Bat family and like the Robins and stuff.
Was Tinian writing it?
No.
Okay.
I don't know who's writing it. I forget. It's not Fraction, but anyway, it was okay. it's if you're not reading DC Vampires, just keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to enjoy it.
I read a new Cyberpunk 2077 book that came out yesterday.
Oh, I remember we loved the last one.
Oh, so good. Whatever it is, they've done several miniseries now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that universe created for that game is just amazing fodder to tell great stories.
Yeah.
This book specifically was about like a VR repairman who goes, checks on people. You know, people are living in their dreams, and there's the whole pretty common commentary to be like, we're so plugged in and addicted to our screens. Eventually, we're just going to be like lumps sitting on the couch living VR lives instead of living our own.
Which I can't wait
lives.
for. That sounds super cool.
Sign me up.
A reality where nothing hurts and I can fly? Oh, that sounds like a real fucking bummer.
But the book is him kind of grappling with his role in all this. Is he kind of like a drug pusher? Is he enabling these people?
Right.
Does he feel good about himself? And there's some really stark imagery in it that I think harkens to depression and kind of foreshadows some things that happen later in the book. Very artfully done. An amazing story. I've never played Cyberpunk 2077. And if this was just an independent comic with no preconceived notion of having been a part of another IP, I think people would be like buzzing about this book more than they are.
It is crazy how good the Cyberpunk 2077 books are.
They're great.
I don't know if you mentioned who wrote this one, but
I don't know off the top of my
Cullen Bunn wrote
It's not Cullen Bunn.
one of the first ones.
That
and
one was
that was
fabulous.
Fucking dynamite.
It was great.
And like everyone that's come out since has just been even better. And I think you're right. Like the world that is set before it is just like teeming with different stories to tell.
Yep.
Like there's so many ways you can go and so many ways you can interpret different things in the universe. Like I am genuinely excited to see more stories come from this IP.
Yeah. So I also read Astronaut Down, which is an Aftershock book that just came out yesterday. Really cool.
Aftershock? Do you? Man, I don't think I've even heard of that book.
It's we got a preview copy of it, so you should just check out our promo copies.
We get preview copies.
I wasn't trying to have a flex, just letting Greg know.
Hey, it's flex summer, baby.
So I'm not going to spoil that one just because I thought I really enjoyed the ending. But it's the basic synopsis of it that's not giving too much away is that a team of astronauts is selected.
It's a dream.
To go on a mission, and the goal is to save the human race. But they but they know they're not going to come back from the mission. So it's kind of like the whole going to Mars conundrum thing.
It's like Interstellar.
If you're signing up to further the human race, it's like as a pioneer, it's like you'll never be able to live your life here ever again.
You can never come home.
The story's way more nuanced and I don't know if I want to say artful, but I really enjoyed it and I endorse it and I think it's worth it for a fun ending and I don't know. It's so hard to talk about without like getting into it.
It gets a Mike D 2 thumbs up.
But sometimes, if you're into like space travel sort of stuff, then at least this is like a subgenre that will pique your interest for this first issue. So like if that's a niche in fiction that you like, then 100% pick up Astronaut Down. Yeah.
I thought The Martian was cool, so I'm sure I'll dig this.
And then I was going to mention that Taproot is a
band?
Is that a band?
Yeah, it's a band from the early 2000s.
Oh, really?
New metal.
Oh, no.
Hey, now. I mean, they're no System of a Down, but they ripped.
I think that's what it's called. Maybe I read the book name wrong.
While you're looking at that,
No, it is Taproot.
Taproot. Okay.
But in any case, this is a book that was the Advocate's Best LGBTQ graphic novel in 2017.
Wow.
And it's just getting re-released as part of Pride Month.
Looks kind of like a Studio Ghibli.
It's very cool. It's kind of got the vibe of like a creepy Studio Ghibli sort of book, and it's a really sweet story with charming illustration and a nice color palette that I really liked. And then when you think it's like it had a spot where it definitely could have ended, and then it kept going and just kept giving you more and more.
Nice.
And so, sometimes you read these YA graphic novels and they're just done in a blink. Like, while this one isn't it's not super text heavy, but I think you get your bang for your buck out of this one is all I'm trying to say. So there's your LGBTQ graphic novel recommend for the top of the month is pick up Taproot re-release on Oni Press.
I read Savage Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
the new number 1 that came out by David Pepos, who has done Spencer and Locke.
Okay.
Get him to the chapel, and that one scout book that, like the Boy Scout book it wasn't Black Badge, but it was like the ones like the Boy Scouts in the post-apocalyptic world or whatever.
I don't know if I remember that.
Anyway, this is like one of his first Marvel books that he's been put on, and it was good. Like, it's a lot of setup for like the team and who they are. They're just like, and now here's Anti-Venom, and oh, what is that Cloak and Dagger? And so like it's a lot of just like Ocean's 11, just like here's the team.
Yeah.
But the cool twist of it that really got me excited about it was that so the thing about Savage Avengers is Conan's in the Savage Avengers because he's displaced in time.
Uh-huh.
Something has happened, and now the Savage Avengers team, along with Conan, got zapped back to Conan's time.
Oh, cool.
So now they're stuck trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
While in Conan, and then Conan's like super pumped. He's like, "I'm back by Chrome, I'm back." Which at the top of the episode, you said that Marvel lost its licensing to Conan.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense that this series may be dropping Conan back off.
Sure.
In his homeland of just like, well,
yep.
See you next time.
Yep.
Gentle caveman.
Pick him back up to play later.
Yeah.
I know that like there's a lot of other titles that you assume that Conan is public domain when really the books that like maybe it's a Blaze or some other publisher does.
Behemoth
are called the Cimmerian.
Mm-hmm.
So there are ways that people get around it where it's like, it's Conan.
You know who we're talking about.
But we're just not saying it.
Yeah. I'm excited for the series.
Yeah.
So, trying to see what else I read for the episode. I think that was just about it. It's been a crazy couple weeks. Had to get a new AC because mine busted.
Yep.
Busted.
I got family in town. You got family in town.
Mm-hmm.
Budget King's been overseas.
Running wild.
I started the new job. Budget King started a new job not that long ago. We're busy people.
I also read the newest entry in the Unnatural Marco.
Oh yeah, Blue Bloods or
yes.
something. Mirka and Dolfo.
Mirka and Dolfo. So we talked about it when we first read Unnatural.
Yeah.
That's like a very sex positive book.
Uh-huh.
And this is like still kind of in that same realm, but it's going to be more about like identity, like who you are as a person, because this like character doesn't have blue blood or for whatever reason.
Uh-huh.
And I guess that's the thing in this universe. They all have like blue blood or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like it's going to be dealing with that, and it was good, but like it's not one that I'm going to be like picking up every time it comes out. I might trade weight that one.
Uh-huh.
But if you are a huge fan of the unnatural verse that
Yeah.
is being written, there's a new entry out there.
I'll say it's a lot of her independent books, and not all of them, but there's a handful of them that do explore kind of finding your sexual identity
Mm-hmm.
and liberating yourself a bit from the shame you might feel
Right.
or shame you have associated with your sexual feelings. And Sweet Paprika,
Oh,
that's the theme in that book, and that book is very like
I actually like Sweet
fun,
Paprika a lot.
cheeky, manga romance inspired.
Mhm.
It's a really fun comic. So if you're looking for something like that that's not maybe as heavy as Unnatural,
Mm-hmm.
then I'd recommend Sweet Paprika.
So I didn't read Mercy, but you did.
Yes.
Does that kind of tackle the same stuff? It didn't seem to me like it would.
No, I'll say there are themes in Sweet Paprika that deal with like parental judgment
Mm-hmm.
and not being who you are, and society not accepting who you are, and those sort of themes get carried through
Yeah.
in Mercy. And there are a handful of things with the town having brothels and that dynamic kind of playing into the same dynamic as like the
Mm-hmm.
parental judgment sort of stuff. It's not so one-to-one or blatant. They feel like different stories.
Yeah. Okay. But her
it's-
hat eats people, right? Is that what it is?
it's more like her face.
Her face eats people. Not as wild as I thought.
It's definitely more of like a Victorian romance horror sci-fi.
Okay. Would you say like Lovecraftian?
Certainly.
Okay.
Certainly.
Can you say Lovecraftian for me?
I'll say Lovecraftian.
There we go.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Now I have it. Now I have it on record.
All right. Well, it's been over an hour. We'll see ya when we see ya.
That's a good tagline to go out on.
T.T.F.N.
Ta-ta for now.
Have a good summer. What? H.A.G.S.
Yeah, and if you go to camp, kiss somebody.
With consent. First Issue Club is brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company via Space Camper Cosmic IPA. Our music is courtesy of the fine folks at Primary Color Music. You can find, friend, and follow us on social media at First Issue Club or firstissueclub.com. You can support First Issue Club by joining us on our Patreon for additional content at patreon.com/firstissueclub.